So if you didn't already know, earlier today, Infinity Ward actually did a live stream where they talked about Weekend 2 of the Modern Warfare beta. And in doing so, they talked about things like the new 32v32 ground war mode. They also talked about crossplay, and both of those we're going to talk about at the end of the video. But right in the middle of the live stream, they gave us some pretty weird information. They started talking about a bonus that you normally get for playing the beta, and normally it's a calling card or an emblem. But this time, they're giving us something a little bit more. This time, they're giving us this that you are seeing on screen. Now, immediately upon seeing this, I went, oh my god, there is weapon variants in the game. But then they came back and kind of explained what it was, and I'm going to actually play for you the part of the live stream that I'm talking about, and then try to explain through it and talk about whether these kind of weapon variants are going to be good for the game, terrible for the game, what they actually are, because it's extremely confusing the way that they talked about them, and they didn't really just give us a straightforward answer. So let's dig through it and kind of decipher what they were actually talking about.
We're giving them something really cool. In the past, we've given like a calling card or an emblem or something like that, but this time around, we're giving a special version of the 725 over/under shotgun in the game. So if you
there it is right there.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So usually this gun has a big stock and it's got a long barrel and it's kind of this big over/under hunting rifle. So this version has a sawed-off barrel, so your spread's going to be a lot wider. It's got a suppressor, kind of over/under suppressor, so both shots are suppressed. It's got a cut-down pistol grip, and so the thing's lightweight. You move fast. It's got an angle grip and it's got a hollow sight on top, and it's a run-and-gun machine. It's been decked out visually. Completely different look than what the 725 usually has.
Yeah.
So out of everything he just said, the one thing you need to know more than anything is this is the same weapon, the 725 over/under shotgun that is already in the game. This is the same weapon with attachments that are also already in the game. So every one of those attachments that he just listed are weapons that are already in the game that you can put on the weapon. The difference is, and the main difference you're seeing, is one, it has a weapon camo on it, and two, the attachments look a little bit different. Now, he goes on to explain that when they release these weapons, they are called blueprints. So normally the way that this is going to work at the full launch of the game is you can go into Gunsmith, edit your own weapon, put your different attachments on it, and then you can save it as a custom mod. Once you save it as a custom mod, you can then go and select that, and it'll have all those attachments you just chose on it. However, when Infinity Ward goes and makes a custom mod, it once again has whatever attachments they put on it, but their attachments are going to look different. So in a way, they are weapon variants. The difference is it's the same weapon with different looking attachments and a camo on it. And the one thing I don't know is whether or not the camo we're looking at here is also unlockable via headshots and challenges. I don't know, but we do know that we are getting it with the blueprint that they give us at the launch of the game.
The other thing we should talk about is what that is, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what we call a blueprint. And so in the game, we're going to let players create what we call custom mods. A player can go into Gunsmith and they're going to be able to save out modifications of a gun, and that's a custom mod. When we create a special one like this, a promotional one,
Has to happen.
do not disturb.
Has to happen.
When we create a promotional one like this and we give that out, that's a blueprint. That's a pre-made gun, and it's built from existing Gunsmith attachments, but it has a cosmetic change to it. Each attachment has a new look, whether it be the receiver or the suppressor or the hollow sight or the grip. You saw the tape on that one. You saw the camo kind of pattern. And the cool thing about these is you can take them into Gunsmith and you can mix and match them. All these pieces we've put on there, you can take those off and put new pieces on from Gunsmith. You can throw the long barrel back on that gun. With Gunsmith, we wanted to create kind of the ultimate weapon customization system.
Right.
So upon hearing that, I had a bit of a different thought. So what that makes it sound like is you get these blueprints and they have the same attachments that look different. You can then take those attachments, take some off, put some new ones on, and really make it the way you want to make it look. But this is cool. I think this is a really, really cool concept. And in fact, you may not remember this, we actually had this in Black Ops 3. Some of the things that you could get through supply drops were different attachments that actually look different. A lot of people may have forgot this, but there was grips that look different, long barrels that look different, stocks that look different, and you could just kind of change them out on your weapon. And for the most part, I don't think a lot of people really cared about them. And I would probably say that's going to be the case with this game as well. I mean, Gunsmith makes that a little bit different, But I have one worry and one worry alone, and it's exactly what he says right after this.
Any gun you get, or variant of a gun that you get, variant.
And just immediately upon hearing the word variant, it like made my skin crawl, almost like I'm having PTSD from hearing it. It's just reminded me of Infinite Warfare and all of the variants in there and how they were stat changing. And then he kind of finishes it by saying that when you unlock these blueprints, you can then mix and match the attachments to really make the gun look the way you want. And this sounds fantastic. It sounds like a really cool way of customizing those weapons, adding different camos to them and just really making them look the way you want. My big worry with this is that they're going to add in blueprints that have new attachments that are not actually in the game that change the stats of the weapon, because as we talked about, weapon attachments in this game literally can make the weapon feel like a completely new weapon. But I have just this worry that they're only going to be found within supply drops, because if you haven't seen my video from before, in the beta there was images that we can see that it appears as though supply drops are already in the game. So my big worry is that there's going to be these stat changing attachments and blueprints and variants for weapons, and then all of a sudden it's going to become this big pay to win game. And yeah, I'm just worried for it. If they are cosmetic items only, and if they stick with that, that's fantastic. I just worry at this point because every time before in a Call of Duty game where they've said, don't worry, it's just cosmetic items only, these attachments are only going to change the look of the weapon, it always ends up changing. So I just worry about that. But it does appear as though there is blueprints or weapon variants in the game. They're just based around attachments and not the actual weapon themselves. But that could change, and of course I will keep you guys updated with that. Now, there is some other news revolving around weekend 2 of the beta, DLC and stuff like that. So the first thing I wanted to say is they did announce officially today that all the DLC and downloadable content and new weapons and anything new that they add into the game is going to come out at the same time for PS4, Xbox, and PC. No longer will Xbox and PC have to wait a week. It all comes out at the exact same time. That is fantastic. I'm super glad that they are doing that, especially with crossplay, which they talked about this weekend. The crossplay beta is going to be going live. You can play PC against PS4 if you want to. You can play Xbox against PS4, and you could actually be able to change that within your settings in game. So if you only want to play against PS4 players, you can select that. If you only want to play against Xbox players, you can select that. So I'm really curious to see how that works out this weekend. And then the other thing that they talked about is 32v32. And they said some pretty interesting things that I thought you guys might be interested in. So first of all, this 32v32 map is called Quarry. It is not a remake of Quarry from Modern Warfare 2. They said the only thing that is similar between the two maps is they got that giant blocks of stone on both maps. Other than that, it's completely different. They said the map is absolutely gigantic, which kind of has me worried, but they kind of set my mind at ease because in Ground War, the 32v32 mode, there's actually a different spawning system. So you can spawn normally like you normally would. You can spawn on objectives. So if you're playing domination, you can kind of do the thing that Battlefield does where you pick a flag to actually spawn on. You can also spawn on your squad. So if you have teammates up in their spawn, you can actually just spawn on your teammates and keep spawning there. So that's going to speed up the 32v32 mode a lot. So you're not just having to spawn, run, die, spawn, run, die. There's also a lot of vehicles in this map as well. There is ATVs. There is helicopters that you can actually get in, fly up into the air, and then skydive out of. They said there's also specific higher parts on the map where you can actually go on top of and then deploy a wingsuit down to a lower area. Immediately upon hearing that, the first thing I think is, wow, that sounds a lot like a battle royale. So maybe they are working on some code with wingsuiting for a battle royale game. I found that pretty interesting. So base jumping is in there, and there's also a moving APC gun that moves around the map. So it's like this moving vehicle that you can get in, you can actually spawn in on it, and I'm really curious to see how that works. So there's a lot of things going into this 2v2 mode, and I'm not really sure how it's going to play, what's going to be good, what's going to be bad, but it will be in the beta this weekend. So I'm super curious to see what that's all about, get my hands on that, and of course, I'll bring a video talking more about that when it actually comes out for you guys. So yeah, that's pretty pretty much it. All the information we got about the new variant system, 32v32, pretty much everything to do with Modern Warfare that we got updated on today. I just wanted to keep you guys updated on the game, what's new, what's changing, everything in between. So if you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. I'm also really curious what you think of this variant slash blueprint system. Do you think it's going to be abused by supply drops? Do you think they are just going to keep it cosmetic items only? Like, what do you think is going on here? Because to me, like, they were super cryptic about it. Like, I had to really dig through and decipher what they were saying about it. And even in their Activision blog where they talk about it, they only talk about this individual 725 blueprint that they showed us on stream. So, like I said, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about that. But like I said, leave a comment down below. And as always, if you're new to the channel, like what you see here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn notifications on. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard.